So quickly, just to since it is all about giving a quick introduction on the fintech landscape, I'll just like start on since I am from a bank, I work for Barclays. So uh, I'll give you a quick background on what does like Barclays as a bank do, and why do like even I am here telling you about fintech. So Barclays is a bank. It's been there since last 327 years. So when I'm saying it's a 327 years old bank, what it has is lot of legacy. So all our technology, all our processes, everything is out there. Very robust framework that is out there. But then, uh, are we happy with what we have? Is it enough to be relevant in this current environment? Probably not. So that's where this whole revolution that is actually coming through, where you will keep hearing about this terminology called fintech. So many people currently they uh, keep thinking about like what exactly is this fintech? Is it something like that has come newly? Is it something that is there to stay? Uh, what is like my take on this? How does bank is impacted by this? So there are lot of thoughts around there, and the market is like wrapping it all around, and there's a like good way forward in there. So fintech is not new. So I am assuming like all of you who are listening to this webinar, either you are from a technology background, or you have been associated with a bank in some format or the other. Some of you are working professionals, some of you could be like studying somewhere. But no matter what, uh, each and every individual in the current market is aware that like what a bank is, what the financial services are. So the minimal thing is you must be having a savings bank account. You must have dealt with the bank in some other format, might have taken a loan, and so on and so forth. There's so much stuff that is out there. So bank has been like doing all this stuff since all these years, and there had been like technology behind all this. So even like 20 years back, there was like these savings accounts that were created. People used to have their passbooks there, and people used to go there to withdraw their money. Even 20 years back, we used to transfer money from one person to other. Whether you talk about like investing in there, or you talk about like various advisory services, everything was there, like even like 20 years back, or before that. So technology was there. So any technology for financial services, which is actually fintech, has been there since all along. I mean, I'll not go like 100 years back kind of a time frame where it was a lot of it was manual, but technology has been there, and it has been supporting financial services since long. What is now changing in the current segment? Why are we even talking about fintech right now? Is the revolution that has actually come in the recent past. So the way we were dealing with customers, the expectation that customer had from a bank is changing very rapidly, and it is all happening by virtue of lot of latest technology that is on the place. Lot of you guys might be like Java professionals, worked in .NET, might have like worked in HTML and so on and so forth. But then, if you really look at what is disrupting the market, probably it is not that technology that is disrupting the market. There are a lot of like this like new set of technology that has actually come in play, and it is also like how it has been wrapped and how in what space they are disrupting. So that's the important aspect. So if you let's say we take an example of payment was there, payment is now. But then like if you think of it, now I mean, if you have to like really transfer money from one person to other, you can imagine like it is just a 1 second or 2 second job right now. You open your Paytm account, even you just like uh, transfer your money to somebody else. And I've just like taken the name of Paytm, but we know that like there are so many players, and you have like plenty of choices. So this was not the case a few years back, and this is what exactly is changing. The fintech revolution is nothing but this like the whole set of new technology that is blended in, and like giving a completely different experience to customer, and there is no end to it. So So because of this kind of a revolution, as of today, being a bank, I would say that like for us, the biggest competitors are not the bank. The biggest competitors are players like Facebook or players like Amazon that's there. So why are they become the competitor for a bank? Because they are able to innovate very rapidly. They are able to like bring in these new solutions, putting a wraparound on the on the back of a lot of transactions, and they are able to communicate with customers in a much more faster way, and also like in such a way where customer feels more connected. So that is where, for any bank, for any financial services institute as of today, are very much cognizant about the adoption of fintech in our day-to-day processes. So you'll see in the slides like there are whether it is payment or investments or it is deposits, lending, personal finance management. This is just a indicative segment, so it's not just that these are the only segments that are impacted, but anything and everything that you pick up from banking, starting from like trade settlements to purchasing a house, to your mutual funds, to your savings bank, anything and everything that you can think of in a financial services is actually looking at how we can adopt this like new set of technology and give a completely different experience to our customer base. And that is where fintech is so much popular right now. When I'm saying so much popular, at some point in time it is like a fad, but then there is also like a lot of work that has to be done, and it is not simple for sure. And there is a lot of it's not that like the fintechs can take over the banks. It is more around how the banks can join hands with the right fintechs, adopt the right set of technology, and at the end of the day deliver the best possible solution to the customer. That is where fintech stands. So having said that,
Hi.
like,
Sorry to interrupt, but would it be possible for you to just put your PPT in like the slideshow mode? It'd be easier for people to read it, slightly more legible.
is it better? Are you able to see it now, Joy?
Just a minute. No, I'm not able to see it as yet.
Okay. So that's where probably the technology is still struggling. But yeah, I have put in. I hope it might take some time.
Yeah, I think you can just hit F5.
No, it is there. I have done a
Okay.
full mode.
Oh yeah, I can see it now.
Okay,
It's okay.
cool. I told you it's a lag. Okay.
Sure, sure. No. Thank you.
All right. So going back to the fintech revolution that we're talking about. So I'll just like quickly let you know, like being a bank, being in Barclays, of course, like it's not that like we have done all along and we have innovated a lot. So it's a journey, it's a process, but it's we have realized that like fintech is the future, and that's the reason why we are investing heavily on collaborating with fintechs across the globe. So as Joy have mentioned, we actually have such kind of innovation platforms across the globe. So we are present in 7 locations, starting from New York to London to Cape Town to Tel Aviv, and Mumbai is one of our 7 sites. The reason we have brought in these locations are to collaborate with these fintechs. So this collaboration indicates something. The collaboration indicates that there is a future. There is a strong interest. There is a strong intent from the banks to interact with these fintechs, these smaller companies who are coming up. And the way we actually look at uh, New York market is very mature. The kind of fintechs that are coming up are pretty mature. But when we come to India, it is in a stage where it is growing, and it is growing in a very faster pace. I mean, probably in 2017, if I'm not wrong, there are approximately 500 plus fintech companies are there, and a good percentage of that are actually able to survive for more than 2 plus years. And with the latest and the best of the policies that are coming on the board by the government, and the way all these different bodies are working towards, I'm sure like this journey is going to really be more enriching, and we'll be actually seeing that there will be many more such players. So having said that, I'll just pull up this slide where you will see like few of the fintechs. So some of you, I mean, I'm sure you all would be aware of Paytm, Policy Bazaar is also very known. I'm not sure Cubera and Obstruct, some of you would be aware of or not. This is just like few of the examples. There are like many more that are out there. Paytm is something that has like been a unicorn, and we don't like talk about them as a startup anymore. But then, if you remember, like few years back, they actually started very small, and they are like growing big, and there are a lot of many other names in that side, in that space, in the wallet space, in the lending space is actually coming up. So this is something you can just read through. I'm not gonna go through this. Uh, this is a slide which will give you a quick insight into the landscape that is there in India. Again, like this is just a like indicative landscape, and this is not the the full picture of what is there in India, but this is just a indicative one. So if you look at that, mobile payments is what we're talking about when we're talking about Paytm. So there are so many number of startups that are out there who are really looking at how best we can provide the services to the customer, and then get the benefit uh, for the customer in the best possible way. You'll also see a lot of things happening in the financial inclusion space. As you know, like uh, even though we have like so many banks, so many financial players in the market, there is a huge market that is out there which still unbanked. There are like millions of people who do not even have a bank account as of today. So what I'm talking about is you go to the rural places, there are people who are out there who doesn't understand what that banking is. What that means is the market is still open. The market is still need to work on such kind of areas, such kind of segments, and for sure I know there are so many young minds who are actually looking at creating something for this financial in the direction of financial inclusion. And that's where when I'm saying that the future is looking very bright, because this market is really huge. And there are so many things that we can think of like there's like millions of people when they want to when they will have all their like bank accounts, when everything will be digital. What kind of a revolution we're actually thinking of? Each and every person that is out there, whether whether a person is there in the like remote bank, the way they are transacting, the way they are saving, all these things, when you take it back to the demonetization that has happened a couple of years back, and then a lot of new things that have come through, starting from your UPI to the whatever NPCI is doing, and the GST and stuff. All these things, it kind of indicates that the base infrastructure, the base foundation is actually laid out, and it is laid out for future, and it is laid out in such a manner that people around that, in a sense, like you have your like Aadhaar infrastructure that is created, the UPA has been created. So as a fintech, you need not have to think of the base infrastructure. The whole work is around how do we take these APIs, wrap around it, and then work on a particular use case which will be more related to, let's say, financial inclusion kind of a thing. So it's more of like the whole of the policies and and lot of like government initiatives had been like targeted to create such kind of a avenue. On top of it, people can actually build, whether there's like new kind of apps, website, platforms, for the benefit of customers, to give a like completely different picture to the way we bank in this country. And it's not just like in India, similar kind of a picture is there when it comes to like the global landscape. It's just that like the problems are different. Probably financial inclusion is very big for us, but then when it comes to financial inclusion, it might not be that big when it comes to US. But then there are like a lot of different kind of problems that they try to solve. So across the globe, the opportunity is out there, and the infrastructure is out there. It's all about the young mass, the new people coming on board, thinking about it, putting their app around, and creating something. So if I'll not like go through the whole section, of it, but you can see like the credit score stuff that is there, remittance is there, bills recharge, card acceptance. Card is something I'm sure like a lot of you would be aware of the kind of changes that is coming through. Earlier it used to be like those like huge big POS machines that used to be there, but nowadays you can see like in some of the restaurants they just have this like miniature where they can swipe in and the card transaction is done. Even now these like mobile devices have come through, they can come to your doorstep and you can swipe and take things forward. So that kind of gives a completely different landscape to the merchant ecosystem that is out there. Similarly, if you look at the credit scoring stuff, so not sure like how many of you are aware of. So right now we do have like four credit bureaus sitting there in India. Like some time back, no one was bothered about whether you have paid the credit card bill on time or not. Probably there was a easy escape route, but then things have changed right now, and a lot of this like the way we are interacting with banks, getting captured, and there is a credit score that is getting built, and you kind of each and every one of you has a like score assigned to it. Now think of it, when everything is going digital, how important this credit score is going to be, in a sense like if a loan is getting uh, sanctioned in few minutes or like rather few seconds, then of course the risk that is getting there's a lot of risk that gets generated in there. But then this kind of bodies like the credit scoring mechanism and stuff like that, they are actually creating or enabling this whole ecosystem to take it to the next level, in a sense like if I have to like give loan to a student, then and the student might not have a like the regular credibility around like a loan or anything like that. But then right now a lot of these fintechs are creating a score on the basis of a lot of other behaviors, in a sense like uh, your Facebook data or your like I mean some of the things probably I should not share, but there is like a lot of alternate data that is out there which can be used for doing a credit scoring kind of a thing. So lot of this kind of stuff is happening. I do see somebody has mentioned that, please mention it in layman's language. Okay. But yeah, I know I probably there's a lot of like banking kind of a stuff that I'm talking about, and a lot of you might not be knowing banking to that extent. So we'll see if we can like cover some of it probably as a question, or I can actually explain. So going ahead, uh, this is just a like it will give you a quick understanding of what are we talking about and how big is this industry. So if you really look at this, like $45 billion is the sector value that's going to be there by 2020, and that's huge. So that actually shows that like where the whole world is actually moving towards. The India fintech size is also like it's 2 billion. Uh, yeah, it's not just like projected for 2020. I think 2 billion as funding. It's all. I think in 2017 we already like raised almost like we did see investment of around 1.8 billion or something like that. So in nutshell, what you see here is there are lot of movements that's happening. There are a lot of money that is out there. Many people are pouring in their money on these smaller companies, the fintechs that are coming in there, primarily because of the new way of working and the new technology that they are bringing in. And this pouring in money, it just indicates one thing, that they want to support this particular players, and then help in laying out the future for these fintechs, who will ultimately either be set either be like working in parallel with banks, or they will be like joining hands and working with a bank, or they could be like doing something which is like peripheral service, and somewhere it is converging into a bank. Again, the global fintech VC investments, this is again huge, and that's where like it just like indicates that how does the overall global landscape looks like and where it is moving towards. So having said all these There's one thing that is very clear, that fintech is here. Fintech is here to stay. Fintech is growing. There is a lot of interest from all aspects. Banks are interested. All financial institutes are interested. The VCs are interested to put in money. The students are interested to create something on their own. Government is interested to support these companies. Now, so the whole recipe is out there, but then like the biggest item that is probably missing in all this is the people who needs to really create this, or let's say like uh, if fintech startup has been set up, and in a year's time they go from 2 people to 5 people to 10 to 100. So the kind of technology that has been used in all these fintechs is very very different than what is a commodity technology in current landscape. You will see a lot of people with the Java and .NET kind of a skill set, but then is it the only technology that will help us in achieving what we want to do when we are talking about this technology revolution? So that is where we kind of see a like very strong interest, and even as a like large organization as banks, we ourselves are also looking at how do we reskill our people. So we have 25,000 technology people who are working to support various of our applications. But then it's not that like we let go of these people, and then while we are in the journey of new technology adoption, we go ahead and take all the new people with new skills. No, it's not possible. First of all, in the market, the skill is not available. I mean, when we say right now, I have, let's say, a machine learning lab is getting set up. When I go to market to hire people who knows machine learning or who can work on machine learning, it's not easy to find that skill in the market, and that's the truth. So to ensure that like the whole ecosystem in the direction where it is moving to, and ensure that like we get the right skill at the right time, lot of the academics, lot of business schools, a lot of these organizations are actually have joined hands and have put in a lot of the courses and the reading material and trainings and stuff like that has actually been done, and we're really hoping that like the future looks brighter. And if we kind of club all these things all together, then there are a lot of things that can be done. There are a lot of things that can be created, uh, and then at the end of the day, the very innovative stuffs can be done for the customer and for the future. So having said that, my slides are done. So I think it would be good, Joy, if we can take some few questions. I do see like some of the people have mentioned something, but I'm not able to.
Sure. Sure, Suniti. So I think we have enough time to maybe take in two, three questions in here.
Right.
We already have a few which have come in, and I would encourage like the rest of all the attendees also to share their questions with us. Why don't we take one that's come in from maybe the one that we got earlier, from Nagi Reddy, saying, for what purpose are you introducing fintech, and can you show us how is it going in the future in India?
Sorry. Okay. Now I have it.
This is maybe like the fifth to last.
Fifth from the last, is it? 1 second. So my system is just like giving me a hard time. Uh,
Oh, hang on. The question is, just a minute. Are you able to hear me right now, Sunil?
yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Sure. So I think the questions around, why is, Barclays like investing all the time, money, effort behind like this fintech piece, and maybe like the roadmap for its future in India.
Okay. So I think this is something I kind of was indicating while I was taking you through the session. So Barclays is a bank, and I think at the beginning I did mention that like what we have been there in the system since last 327 years. What I am trying to say is like think of the systems, the applications that have been there to support a lot of this banking. are really really legacy. We are sitting on even like infrastructure and then the technology which is like even 15 years old, 20 years old. When I'm saying a 20 years old application, it means think of the technology that has been used there, how like good, bad, ugly it would be. So when I'm saying that, uh, so this is a reality that we are sitting in. When I look out the market, we have you can say the competition in the market is very high, and it is not just that we are competing with the banks. We are competing with players like Facebook, who have changed the whole uh, way of like doing business and interacting with customers. So the point is, I cannot like as a bank, I cannot just like just tweak it and make sure that like my systems can work completely differently, and I can just like implement new products and new programs just like that. That's not possible. So that is where like we really have to look at how can I adopt the new technologies. So if I have to adopt new technology, either I have an option that like I scrap off everything and then like start it from the ground zero, which is not possible. And that is where we have to really look at, uh, let's say like let's take a piece, for example, the way we interact with customers. So there was a time when people used to call the bank and wait for like this 5 minutes, 7 minutes to get something done. So now you might have seen in the current era of fintech, there are a lot of these bots that have come through. So these like chat services, whatever you see, these are like conversational bots that have come through. Now, if we provide such kind of like infrastructure where the customers can interact with the bank, then think of the satisfaction that actually a customer gets out of it. So what that means is, if we want to achieve or reach a level where the customers would like to stick to bank with us, then we have to innovate very fast. So to innovate very fast, I cannot, look at doing innovation only inside this four walls of the company. So that is where we really need to look out what is happening outside, and that is where we actually have invested to create these open innovation platforms where we kind of go out and see what's happening in the world, what are the new things that are out there, and how do we interact with them. And that's the whole point of like bringing that innovation inside the organization, where we kind of benefit out of it. And of course, at the end of the day, if a startup has created a solution and if we are buying that solution, then it's a win-win proposition. So we are achieving what we want to achieve, and the startup is getting business from us.
Correct. Great. Thank you for the response there, Suniti. So we've got a few other questions coming in, and like I think there's a sizable fraction there, where like the students have some questions regarding like the fintech program itself. So I would request you guys to just keep those on hold right now, because as a part of the agenda, we'll just quickly go through this piece first, and then and then after that we'll go address these questions with regards to like the curriculum of the program in particular. I think we'll take one more quick question. There's one coming in from Selva Prakash, where she's asked like the role that data science plays today, and how relevant is it in fintech. So maybe if you can share your views on that question there, Suniti. This is the one from Selva, where she's asked us about the role of data science in fintech.
Right. So that's very it's like very close to our heart when it comes to bank. Data science is something that's very close to our heart. I mean, just to let you know, guys, data scientists are the people whom we pay the most. And what that means is, why are we paying so highly to these data scientists? We are desperately looking for bringing something out from there. When I'm saying this, being a bank, what do we have? We have been there in the industry since long. There are like so many instruments that we operate on, and if we go back and see our databases, it is full of like we are sitting on like trillions of data. It is customer data, transaction data, anything and everything. And if you if you understand a bank to some extent, and this data is coming into these banking databases from various channels, from various interactions that we have with customers or like while a trade is happening or account is opening or you've taken a loan from the bank. Just think of and imagine the kind of data that is out there. And I think we all know that like data is is like gold right now, and data is something where a lot of stuff can be done. Like just think of it in that way. We are desperately looking at that, how can we create such kind of a layer so that we kind of read this data in such a way that uh, if a customer is with me, I know a complete picture about this customer so that I can give the right kind of products and the solutions for this customer. So think of the change that can be brought in customer experience if I can have a very unified view of the customer by reading all the data that I have for that customer. This is not happening at this point in time. We are doing it, but then it is happening only in bits and pieces. So the way ahead is like really vast, and every part of the bank actually is looking at how do we use our data in the best possible way so that we can service our customers in the best way. And of course then it has its own benefit and in making money.
Sure. Thank you for that input over there, Suniti. I think I would request all the students and all like the participants over here to just keep asking us the questions, and we'll go take them up. Once we get a little more time at the end of the session. At this juncture, I would like to move on. So what we'll do is, I would like to first quickly thank Suniti for being here today with us. She's taken out like a lot of time of her busy schedule, and we are thankful for her involvement in this fintech webinar today. And I'm going to quickly, go run one poll where we just want to know like a quick. It's a very simple question where we want to know whether like you guys as attendees. Whether you guys have experience or whether you guys are complete freshers. I would request you guys to quickly vote, and then we'll move on to the next half of this webinar, which will be with Nikhil from Imarticus Learning. We have about 50% of you who have already voted. We'll keep it on for the next 10 to 15 seconds or so. Right, we have about 60% of you who voted, 67 now. If you guys can just quickly, just go hit the radio buttons, I'll keep it open for the next 5 seconds. Right, we have about 3/4 of you who've now voted. So I'll go on with the next part and I'll close the poll. Thank you for your poll. Right. I would now like to invite Nikhil Barshikar from Imarticus Learning to give us his insights on the Imarticus Pro degrees as well as in particular to the FinTech program. At the same time, I'd request all the participants to keep asking us the questions and we'll pick up these questions at random. Thank you.
Thanks, Joy. And Suniti, thank you for that overview on fintech. I think it was quite interesting to see the impact that fintech is having on the overall industry. I won't take too much time on this, but what I wanted to do is get you to understand the concept of pro degrees and specifically Imarticus pro degrees, on how we think about it, why we are trying to do it, etc. Because this will feed quite nicely into the session later, which we are all talking through, which is the fintech pro degree that we are gathered here to talk about. So quickly, right? The idea of Imarticus as a whole was to introduce programs and introduce the curriculum, industry-led curriculum into our programs. So the very, if you look at the mission and vision of Imarticus was to bridge the skill gap between either the academia or the learners from where we are and what the industry needs. So the pro degree is a direct attempt to that. The way we think about these pro degrees is we normally uh, partner with industry leaders in specific areas of instruction, and we get them to give us their views, their advice, their professionals, senior professionals like Suniti come in, speak to our students, etc. And we create a program that hopes to build a career, and build, if you will, a skill set that is very relevant to the industry. So in that sense, if you move to the next slide, um, if you look at, we have created programs, just to give you an example, we've created programs with Genpact on data science, we've created programs with ENY on financial analysis, we have created global markets pro degrees with MCX, we are creating an IBM machine learning and big data pro degrees. So what the commonality between there is, and where all these brands and these large industry leaders come in, is they help us with curriculum design, they help us with guest lectures, they think through how this pro degree is going to be future proof over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, etc. And obviously they help us in some cases deliver the program also. So the way I want you to think about this is that it's a program in partnership, designed for you by the industry. I want to talk a little bit now, then I'll hand it over to Joy, about the pro degree, the FinTech pro degree. And Suniti, feel free to jump in. One, we are extremely excited to do this with Barclays, and with Rise with Barclays. They have been at the forefront of, as Suniti mentioned earlier, that Barclays, as we all know, is a huge, huge bank. And they've been at the forefront of thinking about how FinTech and how technology within finance is going to change the finance world, change the consumer experience, and frankly, change how products are delivered to the end client. So in that sense, they are the perfect partner. They already, the Rise platform is years old, and while people were just thinking about fintech as a buzzword, they had already gone and established the Rise platform, which acts as an accelerator and a co-working space for startups from all over Bombay and all over the world to actually come in and collaborate on cutting edge fintech technologies. So inherently, in that sense, they are the industry leader for the fintech domain. What we have gone back and thought about is how do we simplify fintech from an end consumer perspective. A lot of the questions that I was seeing earlier was people asking, well, I'm an IT professional or I'm a finance professional. How is this relevant to me? How is it going to help my career? The way I think about this pro degree is designed for people to get inside fintech or get a exposure into the fintech world, either from finance world or either from the technology world. We are able to make this program agnostic to your background, either be a coding background or a programming. I think different people will get different things from this program. So as we design these programs, we have clearly chosen four. By the way, there is a whole eight, there can be at least 7, 8 of them, but we have four technologies: blockchain, robotic, machine learning, and advanced analytics. And within that, what we have said is, look, we are not going to make you experts in specific areas, but we want to give you enough exposure to the technology platform, to the use cases, and more importantly, in the finance specific industry, what is happening today in these areas, to give you enough exposure so that you can apply that to either your current job or to your future job, or frankly, become also a fintech entrepreneur. So that's how we thought about this program. In terms of delivery, we said, look, this program is not only taught by finance Imarticus trainers, but it's also at least the case driven methodology will be very, very key at this. And we will use Barclays Rise and their leadership and their expertise to help deliver the program. So that's a little bit about the program. Slide number 9, I won't walk you through it overall, but this gives you a good bird's eye view on what this program is about. And Joy is going to go into a little bit of detail across these areas. But as what you see is that the first part of it is the finance primer or the fintech primer. Again, here goes back to it. We don't assume finance knowledge. So for people who are from non-finance background and just IT background, they can come in and look at the finance and fintech primer. People from finance primer will have a decent bit of technologies. We have broken up those or decide to start your own company or decide to take a fintech project in your company. Yeah, I think Joy, I'll hand it over back to you from a deep dive perspective.
Sure. Sure. So I think, again, before we move into like the details of the program, we'll just open up the the session for maybe 1 or 2 questions from some of our students here. If we can quickly have a look at the questions as well, if you would like to pick any one of them up. I think we've got about 30, 40 questions right now.
So I'll pick a simple one. I think I mentioned it earlier, but I think it's quite common between some of these. I just lost it. I had it a second ago. Sorry. Can I think it says, can someone without programming languages exposure get into fintech? Sorry, I'm paraphrasing because I've lost the question, but I think that was the intent of the question. And the answer, like I said, is yes. The idea of this of fintech as a broad piece, and is that the idea is that finance and technology are coming together to deliver a better product, to deliver a better experience, etc. So we are looking in the fintech arena, we're looking for finance professionals and we're looking for technology professionals. More and more, and Suniti mentioned this earlier, as years have gone by, I think the integration of the finance domain and technology domain has become more and more integrated. And today they have to work together to deliver that end experience, the end product, etc., etc. So it is absolutely imperative to get both sets of skills, finance and IT, together, and hopefully create a program or create a learning intervention that brings it together, and so that you can add more value to the end consumer or the end product as such.
Perfect. Thank you, then, Nikhil. Great. So I think before I go deep dive into like the curriculum of the program and all the other details of this program, I have another quick poll for you guys. This one is slightly easier. It's just just your feedback on this webinar. If you could just share your thoughts on like how interesting you thought this webinar was so far. This is quite encouraging. I request the others to also contribute to the poll. Okay, I'll keep it open for another 5 minutes or 5 seconds or so, 5-6 seconds. All right, perfect. I'd like to thank you all for your contribution in the poll, and I'll now like to spend another maybe 5 to 10 minutes on like the details of the program from the viewpoint of the curriculum, obviously, and then we'll also look at some of the other value adds that you get as a part of this fintech pro degree. After that, of course, along the way, if you all have more questions or if you have any more specific questions with regards to this batch in particular, I'll also be happy to take those on. Right, so I'll share my screen if you're able to confirm that shortly. Just 1 minute. I think you should be able to see my screen now, like a Microsoft PowerPoint application. Right? So I'll just quickly go take you guys through what you see on your screen right now, which basically encompasses the whole curriculum that you will be going through over the next 4 months or so with us in this program. So to give you guys a sense, this obviously is a 4-month program. We only do this on the weekends because we realize that most of you guys are experienced professionals. By the way, to go share some intel from the poll we did earlier, we realized that 78% of you guys were experienced, whereas 22 were not experienced professionals. So that gives you a good sense of why we want to do these programs only on the weekends. Saturday and Sunday, so we do about 4 hours each day. To give you a sense again, that's about 8 hours per week. We do this for 14 weeks. That's about 3.5 months, and that comes up to about 120 or 115 to 120 hours of instruction that we would conduct in terms of our trainers would come on and have these classes run for you in the same environment as the ones that we are using right now. So we wouldn't use GoToWebinar, but we use another application, which is another derivation of GoToWebinar, which is called GoToTraining. GoToTraining is particularly made for online training programs like this one that we use. Right. So without much delay, I'll just quickly hop into the this whole curriculum itself. Just 1 minute. Are you able to see my screen in the full screen mode? Because I'm getting some mixed feedback from my side here. All right. So I'll assume we okay. I've got a few responses on the chat box as well. Okay. That's fine. Now, the other thing that I want to quickly take you guys through is like the curriculum, as we mentioned earlier. So, just yeah. So, in terms of the curriculum, I'll get started with like the basics in terms of your first maybe 3 to 4 weeks. We'll take you through like the two primers, where we get started with finance primer. Again, this is essential for those of you who maybe come from a technology background or from like a non-finance background. We obviously will take you through something which is important from like the fintech perspective. So concepts on like lending as well as the payments like infrastructures that we have both in India and outside is something that we'll be covering as a part of like the primer in finance. The second primer that we will want to take with you is on the fintech landscape. Again, to do with what's going on today in the Indian fintech market, as well as what are like a few of like, the good practices which go on in like the fintech landscape across the world. And then we move into what we call like the core piece of this program. Again, this is broken into 4 different sections, as you can see on the screen. We get started with the basics of a blockchain. Blockchain basically forms like the backbone of everything you do in the fintech space today. The whole idea of blockchain was to move away from intermediaries like banks and like other organizations and try to create an infrastructure or like an information highway which basically does not have any kind of obstacles. Once you have the infrastructure in place, then you can have applications like cryptocurrency that can sit on a blockchain. So which is what gave rise to the Bitcoin. Again, this is a term which I think we all are pretty used to nowadays. We keep hearing about people becoming millionaires overnight because of some smart investments in Bitcoins back in the day. So we obviously give you a little more exposure to each of these concepts, and we'll go walk you through all the details there. One important piece here that I would like to over the go speak about is towards like the latter half over here that you see, you have the concept of Ethereum, which is basically like the framework that you would use either on an open or like a public blockchain or like a private blockchain. The other things that we'll go through are like the smart contracts and how do they sit on blockchains or hyperledgers. These are all applications and like the tools that you would use to understand like, the whole concept of blockchain better. We obviously also have a whole layer of the implementation side where we look at how can these kind of technologies be implemented today to make it real. And then at the end, we have this case study that we bring in from Barclays, from Rise Mumbai, and this has been co-created with them. And these case studies would help you get a more real life example on each of these concepts like blockchain, RPA, ML, as well as advanced analytics. Then again, just moving ahead from blockchain, the other part that we would spend about 25 hours on is the RPA, or like your robotics process automation. In RPA, we look at how is this different from the earlier way of of doing like these automated processes, especially for mundane like operational like roles at organizations. The tool that we use in RPA is called UI path. It's not mentioned over here, but the UI path is one of the applications or the tools which we use to actually go process the whole RPA examples on. So there could be other tools as well which you could use. There's another one called Blue Prism, which has got a lot of insight nowadays, and people keep talking about its applications also. But because UiPath is an open source application, we'd be using that to explain the RPA concept. Apart from UiPath, we'll also, of course, you look at different case studies. Again, these are all co-created with Barclays and Rise Mumbai. After RPA, we move on to the ML or like the machine learning part. Again, this is very like central to everything that you will do in fintech. Again, there may be questions from guys in the domain who might say that, look, I only come from like a finance background, and how will I pick up the concepts of machine learning? Again, you don't need to go worry about that too much, because we also will take you through an overview of Python, which is the application that we will use. If you see the third and the fourth sections on ML and like advanced analytics are interlinked to a sense where you will need to know like the basics of Python across both of them. We have certain concepts of TensorFlow, Keras, which you will use as a part of the ML learning module that you have. Of course, then the fourth one is the advanced analytics piece, where we look at everything from like predictive to prescriptive analytics. Of course, descriptive and diagnostic and like analytics as well. The tool that we use here is Python. Again, this is like the tool of choice today for everything that you do in the AI and the ML landscape. As I have mentioned earlier, for blockchain and RPA, the same thing is true even for ML and advanced analytics, where at the end of each of these modules, we'll do a case study, which is along with right number. I hope that gives you a sense of comfort in terms of the curriculum. At the end of this, we have a capstone project that you would do, where you pick up a topic of your choice, which could be across any of these four verticals, either blockchain, RPA, ML, or advanced analytics. And after you have created, and again you'll be working in groups along with your other classmates, and then you also have the ability to basically push this out in terms of go present this to the leadership at Barclays Mumbai. Again, you don't have to be here in Mumbai. We've in fact heard this question from a few of our other candidates earlier, whether you need to travel to Mumbai to do this program. Again, just to be very clear, you do not have to travel to like Mumbai to do this program. This is a 100% online program where you can do it from the comfort of your house or your office. All you need is a computer, an iPad, any kind of tablet, or a mobile phone where you can download the applications, both on the LMS side as well as the live classes. Are there any other questions with regards to like the curriculum? I mean, I know there are a few of them I'm looking at right now in terms of like the eligibility of the program, how much would be the CTC for freshers. Again, all these are, I wouldn't want to go into each of them individually. I think we have an excess of 50 questions now. Maybe I'll just, try to find like a common thread between all the questions and just see if there's anything in common and try to answer those. One or two questions are coming around with regards to how much stats and maths do I need to know to do this program. So again, do you need to be this thing, right? Analytical background? Yes, I think you need to, because yes, you can be from the domain, but I think both, right? Banking and technology, both. Like, the only common point there is the fact that you are analytically driven. So even so again, coming from an IT background or even from domain, I think you should be okay, because ultimately, what this is where the two of them meet. So at Fintech, and in fact in this curriculum, as you can see, we have these primers in place, exactly for that reason. Where if you come from like the technology side and you feel that you don't know enough about like the financial services side, maybe on lending or even like the payment side, and if you need to just go upskill yourself slightly on that, we have the primers, which is exactly for that purpose. In terms of the applications that we use, again today, like most of these things are based on the open source technology. So as I mentioned, even UiPath that we would use for like RPA is also based on an open source platform. Even Ethereum, which is like the backbone or the infrastructure that will actually go support everything you do on blockchain, is also an open source platform. So is Python. So it helps. And there's a lot of reading material in that sense. So even if you come from the finance background and you're slightly new into analytics, you don't need to really worry about it. I'll move on to the next slide, which has an overview of like the coverage that we'll be going through as a part of this curriculum. I think this you already get a sense of, because we've already gone through the last slide, where I've taken you through like the week on week breakup. But to give you a sense, you spend most of your time around these tools that we've been speaking about. So everything from blockchain to robotics to that's like this thing, right? RPA to ML and AI, as well as the last one that we're doing with you is on advanced analytics. I'll move on to the next slide. Right. Now, with respect to the case studies, I think the whole idea behind this program was to make it very real, right? Because you don't want to do program, or you don't want to undertake a program where you're not able to put like your practice or your whole just theory into practice. So the whole idea over here was to sit across the table with Rise and come up with these case studies where you actually get to go test whatever you've learned from an implementation standpoint. So as you can see on the screen, we have quite a few different case studies that you'll be running, all the way from like social media analytics to running blockchain implementations, RPA maybe for like a securities firm, where you work on some operational mandates that they will have, and how can you use RPA to In terms of the capstone project, we look at certain. So if you see like the process on the right hand side of the screen, you pick like fintech domain that excites you. So again, if you look at it, if you were to make like a flow chart over here, you'll have like your finance primer at the beginning, then you have the fintech primer, and then you go split into four parts, which is in each of these tools that we spoke about and the applications of it, and then you come back towards the end where you do your capstone project. So again, you have like the liberty over here to choose the topic that you would like, and then of course you will go perform the analysis of that firm, of that model, and then you get the chance to go present that to the leadership at Rise. The other thing that I would like to also go include at this point is we have an opportunity for each of you where you can do a 2 month like paid internship at like Rise Mumbai. You need to make a payment of 50,000 rupees over and above like the existing course fee of 1 lakh rupees, and this gives you like the ability where you can go share your insights with the team at Rise Mumbai, and of course in turn gain from like the whole ecosystem that they've developed there of everybody from trainers to other startups, and maybe learn on the go. The criteria to apply for this, for this experience at Rise Mumbai is you need to complete the program, and you obviously need to be able to commit anywhere between 20 to 30 hours per week over the 2 month period. If you need any more details, we'll be happy to address any of the queries around this. Again, to give you guys sense of the program, in like the handouts section of this webinar, you can download the program brochure. This basically encapsulates everything that we've already spoken about today, both from Suniti and from Nikhil. It has all the details with regards to the curriculum. It has the details with regards to this hands-on experience or the internship that I've spoken about, and you also get access to all the other USPs that this program brings in. Is there any other question that you guys have which we have not addressed until now? If there are any other questions pertaining to the program in particular, what languages will be covered in blockchain, job guarantee from the side, how much money to invest in. So I'm just going to go through a few of the questions very quickly. I'm not going to address like individual questions here, but in terms of how much money and time do we need to invest, this one is from Amit. So Amit, this program retails for rupees 1 lakh. You can make a payment of about 20,000 right now to block your seat, and then once you have that in, we are looking at launching this on the 24th of February, which is a Saturday. So we'll be starting this on the 24th of Feb onwards for the next 4 months. So yes, you need to invest time, 4 months and all. And in terms of the amount, or in terms of the fee, it's 1 lakh rupees for the program, for the 4 month program. And then you have the optional internship at the end of that. So for whatever reason, if you feel that you would like to go ahead with the internship also after doing this program, you always have the ability to do that. Job guarantees from your side. I think the other question that had come up earlier, also I think from Amit only, was do we get a job at Barclays after completing the course? So I'll be very clear about this, that no, you do not get a job after completing this course at Barclays. So what they're helping us with is obviously defining the curriculum, because they understand this landscape better than most other people, especially better than us who are like academic partners. So what we've done is we've gone tied up with Rise Mumbai to define the curriculum. What is it that we would like to push out there as a part of the curriculum, and they'll also help us to go train certain elements of the curriculum. But you will not be getting a job at Barclays or Rise Mumbai at the end of this. The idea is to obviously give you guys a lot of exposure. We also will help to basically go build up your candidature in terms of we do placement. We have this concept where we help you with your career. We do like placement assistance with you, where we will do everything from look at your CV. We'll help you with certain points on your resume building. We obviously will conduct these mock interviews with you as well, to give you a sense of what is it that you might experience in an interview for a role on fintech. I think because fintech as an industry or like function is very nascent, right? So you wouldn't have that much exposure to say that what are the kind of questions that may come your way. if you go compare it to something like marketing or sales as a role or HR, you know exactly what kind of questions might come your way. But in particular, because this industry is so nascent and so new, it might make sense for you to be a part of these courses. Also, for like the career assistance that we provide. Um, Mayank has a question saying, for people who stay far away, can they attend the program online? Yeah, so Mayank, I'm in fact happy you have asked this question, because let me just go set it, over there into perspective for all of you. This is an online program, which means you do not need to travel anywhere. I mentioned this earlier as well. You can do the entire program from your house. All you need is like a laptop or a tablet or a smartphone. You basically again we would use tools and like platforms exactly like this, where instead of me, there will be a trainer, and instead of you only being able to see yourself, you'll be able to see all your classmates together. The platform that we use is called GoTo Training. You can feel free to also hop on to Google after this session's over and just get to know a little bit about what GoTo Training is. So I hope that answers your question there, Mayank. Sabaresh has asked whether can you avail any educational loans for this program. Yeah, Sabaresh, we have a few installment plans for this. We've also actually tied up with a few partners to actually avail loans for you, which are again interest-free loans. So there's no, I mean, it's just the entire amount, 1 lakh rupees that would be divided by say 12 months, and would be 8,300 rupees every month in that end. If you could just get in touch with like your sales representative, or if you can go drop us an email, then I'll be happy to go take that conversation forward with you separately. Arvind has a question on the placement assistance. I hope I've made myself clear with that you will not be getting a job at Barclays at the end of this, but we will assist you to basically just go spruce up everything in terms of what's needed for you to get the job, all the way to the interview, and as well as like the mock interviews that we conduct with you. And we'll also help to just go through your CV and your resume just to make it more fintech friendly. Right? Any other questions from any of you guys? Thanks, Amit, for that. Placement assistance for the program. What are the job prospects? I'm from Bangalore, so I'd like to go for internship after completion. Sudeep Saha, yes, I know you're from Bangalore, as you said, but if you would like to do the internship after completion of the training, then you will have to come to Mumbai, because the office is in Lower Parel at the Indiables complex, and unfortunately, well, I'm sure they'll have one in Bangalore soon, but for the time being, they only have centers, 7 RISE centers across the world, if I'm not mistaken. There's one in Cape Town, in London, in New York, Tel Aviv, in Mumbai, in Manchester, etc. So for the time being, yes, if you were to do the internship, then you would be expected to come to Mumbai. Sessions will be recorded. Parul Chaturvedi, yes, like all like these sessions that we do with you will also be recorded. So for whatever reason, if you are like say unable to attend, one particular class, unlike a physical classroom where you obviously lost, that class, here you have the access to again, get back. Or you can go watch the videos on YouTube, where the whole class will be recorded and be uploaded into YouTube with like a private setting or like a privacy setting where only you get access to it, so you can't share it with anybody else. But all the sessions will be recorded, and if you have missed out on a certain weekend for whatever reason, you have the ability to go on, hop onto YouTube and get a sense of all these questions. Certification provided by any regulatory body. Sabaresh, again, this is in partnership with RISE Mumbai. I don't think there's anybody bigger in the fintech landscape today. So, in terms of like the certification, obviously this will be like a co-branded certificate that you'll get, from Imarticus Learning as the training providers, as well as from Barclays, who are like the knowledge partners here with us essentially. Fees, Rahul, this is for 1 lakh rupees, as I mentioned earlier. But to go block your seat, you only need to pay up rupees 20,000 upfront, and then we have different plans that you can be a part of, all the way from like 100% like interest free fee financing to like different installment packages. If you can get in touch with your sales representatives, I'm sure they'll be happy to reach out to you in the next steps. Eligibility criteria for the program, Shweta Krishna, no, we don't have any form of eligibility criteria for the program, but we do have the eligibility criteria for the internship that you would like to do after the program. of course, which you can see on the screen. You need to successfully complete this program with a 60% grade, and of course, at the end of that, you could be eligible to also get the internship like Rise Mumbai. For this program, we open to both like the fresher community as well as like the experienced community. I think what would help you a lot are these primers. If you see as a part of the curriculum that we had mentioned, is also there in like the handouts. It's interesting because if you are from either of the domains, right, that's either from technology or from finance, we have the right primers in place to ensure that you can get up to the curve extremely quickly. So as such, I wouldn't really say there's an eligibility criteria for the program, but again, you need to be like slightly analytical as a person to be able to absorb what's going on. Arvind, a couple of questions from you. How do you shift into fintech? What is the transition path? Coming from an IT background, how do you shift, etc. So again, I think most of the questions are around the same concepts, right? That I think fintech, because it is so nascent, you obviously don't have it in like your curriculums in schools and colleges. So it's obviously something that wasn't even around maybe like 5 years ago as a concept. I mean, today, everybody's talking about it. Which obviously means that you have to move out of an existing, legacy-based like domain into fintech. So you'll either move, ideally from finance or from technology. So, in your case, Arvind, if you already come from an IT background, I think concepts like machine learning or advanced analytics will be like a cakewalk for you. I think for you, the focus would be, more on trying to grasp on to like the domain concepts, which would go revolve around things like finance and like lending and the payments infrastructure. Great. There are quite a few questions. I know we're running out of time. We already shot up a few minutes here and there. How many years of experience? Age limit? No, there's no age limit, Rahul. We've got people from different age groups. So there's no problem there. Right. So education loan, all the details. So we'll give you all these details, right, Rahul? I'm just going to go quickly, put up one poll, which is if any of you guys are interested in this program, and in case you would like an Imarticus representative to reach out to you. Of course, we can keep having this dialogue, but I know that we already like short on time. I would request you guys to maybe just give us your inputs, and if you would like, somebody from our team to reach out to you with the next steps on how we can do this program, or if you have any queries around like the curriculum or like any of the or any of like the mechanics of the program, I'll be happy to get somebody from my team to reach out to you. And alternatively, if you would like to go continue this conversation with me personally, I'll be happy to get on a phone call with like each of you individually. I think we've got half of you guys have already voted. If I can ask the others to also quickly put their thoughts in. The question that we're voting on is, whether you would want an Imarticus representative to reach out to you to give you more details about the ongoing program. To give you a sense, again, we are launching like our new batch on the 24th of Feb, which is in the next 2 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks. So I think that gives you a good runway to also go prepare yourselves in the background, should you wish to do this program with us. Right, I have all the votes I need in, so I'll close this poll. And I would like to thank each of you for being a part of this webinar today. I'd like to thank Suniti once again, who has spent quite a lot of her time today with us. I'd also like to quickly thank Nikhil from the Imarticus Learning team, who was also here with us on the webinar earlier. And I'd like to thank all 120 plus of you who have made it to the as attendees for the webinar today. I know there are a few questions which are still unanswered. We will try our best to reach out to all of you guys individually. But in the meanwhile, we'll see if we can get back to you guys in via our representatives, who of course 2/3 of you have asked for it. So we'll get somebody from our team to reach out to you. Should any of you feel that or at least want to say reach out to us, I'm just going to go drop an email ID in the chat box for all of you. It's called elearning@imarticus.com. I've just put it in the chat box. If you can just go send out an email there to with regards to any of your queries about this webinar or about this program in particular, then I'll make sure that I personally respond to each of your emails maybe in the next day or so. So if you can just go drop a note with regards to your questions, I'll be happy to get back to you. Rahul, this is Joy Parekh, and I am like the program manager at Imarticus Learning for this fintech program. So that's to answer your question. Thanks a lot for that, Sabaresh, Arun, Rahul, and Ajay. Okay, so with that, I would like to I'd like to go thank you guys for being part of this, and we look forward to hosting you at our inaugural fintech program, which will launch on the 24th. Thank you all.